So today is going to be the debut where we're going to talk about a very exciting technology, which is going into 750 volts of AC current that you can plug in your household appliances to off of only 4 AA batteries. I mean, it seems impossible, but yet this is what we're dealing with. So this is actually world exclusive new Intel. Are you guys ready for some new Intel? Give me a round of applause if you're ready for some new Intel. All right, thank you. So, yeah, so we've been given the clearance to basically disclose everything. Don't hold back. Everything is open for release now. So I wanted to figure out how to show you this power plant, this coil that generates 750 volts off of 4 AA batteries. But there's a man in the video, and I don't want you to see his face, and I don't want you to hear his voice. So the way I did this is that I cut the video. It's one contiguous video, and I don't have his audio, and I don't have his face in the video. So this way, nobody's going to find out who this guy is. Now, he was given this technology by the U.S. military. They have had it before then, and I believe, ultimately, it came from Valiant Thor. And I'm going to show you exactly why I think that's true. Okay, so here's a photo of the entire setup. So this is all you actually need. Yeah, I can imagine there's gasping going on right now, right? So what you're seeing here on the bottom is the 4 batteries, and then you have the blue coil there is where all the action is happening. There's tiny little wires that you can't even really see. They're 28 gauge, and they go from the blue coil to the outlet. And where that blue piece of tape is between the blue coil and the power outlet, in fact, let's go in a little closer now so you can see that up close. You can't even really see the wires here, but there are wires going off of the coil to each side of the upper outlet of those 2 outlets. You can see them screwed in if you look really closely. Then what he has above there is a voltmeter or an ammeter. And on the top left of the device is a little toggle switch. You can't see it. It's a little bit out of the frame there, but it'll toggle between AC and DC. And then also the turning knob is set to 750 to 1,000 volts, which means that it will detect any voltage between 750 and 1,000. So here are the basics of the coil as was described by the man in the video. He said it's a ferrite core that is toroidal in shape, so it's basically a magnetic ring made of iron, and this is common inside engines. It's a 28 gauge wire. We don't know what the metal is. I'm assuming copper, but I really don't know. It could definitely be some other weird metal, and that might be part of the trick, although I've heard this is not that hard to build, doesn't take any expensive stuff. So here's the big trick, folks. First you have a coil. Where am I? Oh, okay. First you have a coil, and the coil has 3. So you have this ring of iron that's magnetic, and then you wrap this wire around the outside of it 300 times, 300 windings. Then you go 12 windings in one direction and 12 windings in the other direction. And then when you start running energy through this, there's this very interesting thing having to do with Lenz's law and this whole concept of parallel energy fields in the electromagnetic wave. Everything in the electromagnetic wave is based on 90-degree offsets. And so when you start to collide electromagnetic energy fields at 90-degree angles to each other, you eventually get implosion if you do it properly. And it's actually not that difficult. And what does implosion mean? It means that energy from our reality is disappearing into some alternate reality, and it's no longer visible to us. And I'll explain that in a minute. So this causes what they call an electron cascade. Essentially what's happening is that electrons are shooting around inside this coil, and they start doing this. They go into the center, they pop, they make an explosion, they come back out, they pop again, and this is happening millions of times per second. Now, this sounded a lot like something that W.B. Smith had talked about. He's a great researcher from the 1950s. who was in touch with the human ETs, and in fact, they are the ones who provided him with these instructions. So here is a photo of Dr. Smith, and here is the radio telegraph device that he first established contact with these ETs using this method. It began in 1952. He claims in the book that a total, this is The Saucers Speak is the name of the book by George Hunt Williamson. 12 groups were contacted. He was personally contacted on the telegraph using the ham radio Morse code signal. And then again, Saucers Speak was written about this, and they hid W.B. Smith's identity, but there's letters between the two of them that are now on presidentialufo.com. So these ETs explained that we are going through a dimensional shift. It's very exciting. Our solar system is moving into a more highly energized part of the galaxy here, and this is going to increase cosmic ray bombardment on the Earth, and the entire solar system will be transformed. And they gave this very urgent message to world governments. Now, this is from a lecture that he gave in 1961 based upon what these human ETs were telling him to do. And check this out. It's very, very interesting. He said, we've built 2 items of hardware on their instructions, and I believe, again, this is going to be the same as Valiant Thor, same people. One is a coil. It has a ferrite core and a trick winding on it. To look at it, it looks like a rather oddly wound inductor. When measured on a radio frequency bridge, it shows peculiar properties. There are certain frequencies at which it is impossible to balance the radio frequency bridge, which is a direct contradiction to what any electrical engineer should tell you will happen with a coil of wire wound on a ferrite core. So what does that mean, the RF bridge, and you can't balance the RF bridge? Well, what that means is the energy is disappearing, and you can't figure out where the energy is going because there's no part of the entire circuit where the energy appears to be. The energy is, if you will, warping out into some other reality. And so the basis of this, again, is the caduceus coil. And the caduceus is the classic DNA-like symbol of the 2 serpents going up the rod, which could very well refer to the human kundalini energy, could refer to DNA, has lots of different connections. But in this case, this is what I wanted you to see, folks. This is how you wrap the wire around a core of iron, which has to be magnetic. And then when you start running energy through this, the energy just disappears. You don't really see where it's going. It seems to be vanishing. So if we take this coil, excite it with radio frequency at or near certain critical frequencies, energy goes into the coil, nothing comes out, it just disappears. As a matter of fact, we had one coil about 1 inch in diameter, 8 inches long. We poured 1 kilowatt into the coil for 2 hours. Coil was a 2-inch brass tube. We could find no radiation around the outside at all. So they sent 2 kilowatts in. They sent it, what is it? 1 kilowatt for 2 hours, and nothing came out. So this is the Jean-Louis Naudin in 2005 building one of these on his own in the lab using really just like a toilet paper tube and copper wire. And sure enough, every time you run energy through it, you get these strange gains and drops in voltage. As you see, the voltage is the y-axis, and it's 300 volts, 400 volts there where the red line is. I don't know if you can see that in the audience. I hope you can. Here's another image of the caduceus coil. Probably you want to get it more of a 9-degree angle. I think that's a little bit too tightly wound, perhaps. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't do it that way. So then the boys topside, meaning these human extraterrestrials, said that they were making tensor energy, a 6th-dimensional radio wave, which is used extensively for radio communications, power transmission, and pushing and pulling. So there it is. You're going to get gravitational energy off of this, and you're going to get free energy off of this. So it appears that the difference between the original Valiant Thor rod and then the ring is simply taking this idea and building it into a ring, and then you discover, oh my God, I'm getting all this extra energy. And again, this probably came from Valiant Thor. So it can do gravity, it can do voice communication, power, everything. They use this energy for just about everything we could think of, and it also is very connected to consciousness. That's a whole other discussion. This is why I call it the source field. We could not control this energy. We could only generate it. We are hoping later on we'll be able to learn how to control it, but at the present time, we're not smart enough. So here's the basics of how this coil actually works. First of all, you have the 4 AA batteries, as we said, that creates the kick to get it started. There's my dog yawning upstairs. She wants this to be over. I don't. Normally, the 4 batteries generate 5 DC volts, and we'll see that a little later. The coil, however, is generating 750 volts of normal plug-in alternating current like you could have in the wall of your house. It's unbelievable. The batteries do not need to be changed for over a year at a time. They just stay still, and they keep on running. So then he changes over to the worst batteries he could possibly find from Sunbeam. He takes the batteries out live and puts the cheaper ones in. So let's check this out. Okay, so there you can see the Ever-Ready batteries that he's had in there, he says, for over a year. And of course, that's only 5 volts. And then he's got it set to AC current, 750 to 1,000 volts here once again. Now he's going to turn off the batteries on that little switch. Or turn them on, rather. Now the coil is running, so he sticks that in there, and check this out. Out of that outlet, you got 750 volts from 4 AA batteries. It is very, very amazing. So as we were saying, the main coil is 300 windings around the ferrite core, as well as 12 going one way and 12 going the other. I have every reason to believe that this is, again, the caduceus coil, this crisscrossing energy between wires, which we're going to see has a lot to do with 1950s extraterrestrials and Archangel Michael, all kinds of interesting stuff. So the batteries are only really needed as a kicker, which actually just keeps this reaction going, this electron cascade. And he says that a single set of batteries will run for over a year. So we have opposing electromagnetic fields that collide together every millionth of a second, creating a storm of electricity, or the electron cascade. So here's another video now where you're going to see, now he's got the Sunbeam batteries in there, and he's showing you those tiny, tiny wires, the 28 gauge wires that are connected. And he's showing you now the coil, and that there's 300 windings going this way. And then he's going to gesture about okay, those are 2 little wires. He says 12 windings going one way, 12 windings going the other way. He touches this, he shocks himself right there, because there's a lot of, 750 volts is a lot. And right now he's describing the cascading motion that the counterbalancing electromagnetic fields have as they collide together, and then you extract the power out of that, you put it into the outlet, and it's showing this incredible delivery. Now with the Sunbeam batteries, it's going to be a little less, and he's going to show you that now. So he plugs it in, and let's look and see what happens. It's only 650 volts this time, not 750. So it's gone down. But again, this is because, sorry, let me cut back here. This is probably because of the fact that he's had all of this, the weakening of the batteries, I guess, somehow diminishes the effect. They don't have as much current or amperage, maybe. It's a little strange, but okay. So now I want to talk about sonoluminescence, because this is very fascinating, and it's better that I show you visually than try to explain it verbally. So let's do that. Okay, if you collapse underwater bubbles with a sound wave, light will be produced, and nobody knows why. So there's a thing called multi-bubble sonoluminescence, or MBSL. As a submarine is passing through the ocean, it leaves this trail of beautiful twinkling lights behind it. And it's very amazing, and nobody really seems to know why this works, and they have been able to do it in the lab. They call it the star in a jar. So here's what you do. You have a spherical flask. You have those speakers on either side. That's what the red wires are. Now they play a sound frequency. That's all it is just a sound frequency, like, for example, one of the white keys on the piano. You fill up the flask with water. That's all you have to do. And then the last ingredient is you drop one little air bubble inside. And as soon as you do, and you turn on the sound, because of course, here's the other thing, is that the sound is already creating some kind of weird force vector equilibrium. By having it on either side of a sphere, it's directing all the energy towards the middle, so that when you put an air bubble in the middle, it will stay in the middle. It doesn't drift or want to move around. Then once the air bubble is formed, it starts collapsing and expanding. And every time that that it collapses. There's like an explosion, and then there's visible light as it expands, and then it collapses, becomes invisible, expands again. So sonoluminescence is actually flickering. And again, let's go back to the other one first. So you can see that little bright spot in the middle of the glass there is actually a ball of energy. Nobody knows why it forms, and it seems to have a great deal more energy that it's producing than the energy that the sound is creating. So you can measure sound in dynes per square centimeter, and the amount of dynes per square centimeter of sound pressure is far, far less than the amount of electromagnetic energy that creates this light effect. So it appears that when you collide energy fields together in this way, that you can create these very interesting charge clusters, as they were called by Dr. Kenneth Shoulders. I believe sonoluminescence is caused by these natural energy fields that we've discussed in other works I've done. But I want to keep showing you this because this is amazing. So check this out. Could you harness energy created this way? This is the big payoff, folks. This is what we've been waiting for. What happens when you plug in a typical floodlight that would be in a power outlet? So here we go. You got your crappy sunbeam batteries, and he plugs it in. Look at that. Now, it seems hard to believe, and if you get the video, you're probably going to want to watch this more than once. But sure enough, there's nothing else there. There's nothing, no tricks up his sleeve. He unplugs it, and then it immediately turns off again. And all he's got is the batteries and the coil, and he just shocked himself again. You just watched a conventional plug-in lamp running on 4 AA batteries. So let's just check and see how many volts do the batteries have if you just connect them to the ammeter without the coil. First, you got to set it to DC, which he's already done by now. So he unplugs the alligator clips, turns it off. Now he's going to turn it back on so it'll show juice. And you connect the two together, and you got it on DC, and boom, you only get 5 volts instead of 750 volts. Well, that little blue coil becomes awful pretty handy, doesn't it? If you're getting an extra 745 volts, that's like money in the bank, and you don't have to pay for this energy. It's absolutely incredible. So the plans to build your own, according to the U.S. military, they will be openly revealed after disclosure. I apparently will have something to do with that. And we're also going to mass produce these. So try to imagine what it's like with heating and cooling. 80% of your expenses are gone. And now you have this incredible energy source. This is the future. It will lead to us being much cleaner on planet Earth, to make the Earth much happier for us that we're here. And there's so many things. I mean, the whole basis of economics is capital, and capital is ultimately energy. And so if you make capital free, it's like everyone's a millionaire. It's very, very amazing stuff, because with that kind of energy, you're going to be able to, have anti-gravity. You'll be able to levitate things, just like how they built the pyramids. I mean, if you have one hover car, gosh only knows where this could go, but it's very, very exciting. All right.